So, starting with John chapter 6, verse 35, and it says, And Jesus said unto them, I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never hunger, and he that believeth on me shall never thirst. So there we see the bread of life. Then in John, still keeping in chapter 6, but moving to verse 48, it says, Jesus says, I am that bread of life. So he's the bread of life, that bread of life, and he's also the living bread. And we'll see that in John, still in chapter 6, in verse 31, or in verse 51, where it says, I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world. Now moving on to chapter 7, moving to verse 29, Jesus says, But I know him, for I am from him, and he hath sent me. So he's from him who has sent him, which is God. He's from God. We'll move on to chapter 8 now in the book of John. On verse 12, Jesus says, or it says, Then spake Jesus unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. So he's the light of the world as well. And then down a few verses to verse 16, still in chapter 8, says, And yet if I judge, my judgment is true, for I am not alone, but I and the Father that sent me. So he's not alone. That's the other thing. And in John chapter 8 verses 23, it says, I am from above. It says, And he came unto them, and he said unto them, Ye are from beneath, I am from above. Ye are of this world, I am not of this world. And John chapter 8 verse 28, it says, he claims to be he. Then said Jesus unto them, When ye have lifted up the Son of Man, then shall ye know that I am he, and that I do nothing of myself, but as my Father hath taught me, I spake these things. Then we'll move on to chapter 10. So we'll miss out chapter 9, move on to chapter 10. And verse 7, Jesus is the door of the sheep. Then Jesus said unto them again, Verily, 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 I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep. And if we look just 2 verses down to verse 9, Jesus says, I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out and find pasture. And then if we move another 2 verses down, still in John, still in chapter 10, but verse 11, claims to be the good shepherd. It says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for his sheep. And then in John, still in chapter 10, in verse 36, Jesus says, Say ye of him whom the Father hath sanctified, and hath sent into the world, thou blasphemest, because I said, I am the Son of God. He's the Son of God. He's a resurrection, which is in chapter 11 and verse 25. It says, Jesus said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. Now in John chapter 13 verse 33, Jesus says, I am with you. He says, little children, yet a little while I am with you. Ye shall seek me, and as I said unto the Jews, whither I go, ye cannot come. So now I say to you. So he's with you. Now John, there's a famous verse here. John chapter 14 verse 6. We've got, he says he's the way, says he's the truth, and he says he's the life. It says, Jesus said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. And 4 verses down, in verse 10, Jesus says, believest thou that I am in the Father, and the Father in me? The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself, but the Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. So Jesus is in the Father. Now we'll move to chapter 15, and in verse 1, Jesus claims to be the true vine. He says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Then we'll move down a few verses to John chapter 15, verse 5, where he claims to be the vine. Jesus says, I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit, for without me ye can do nothing. And then the final I am statement from Jesus in the book of John is found in chapter 18, verse 37, where it says, Pilate therefore said unto him, Art thou a king then? Jesus answered, Thou sayest that I am a king. To this end was I born, and for this cause came I into the world, that I should bear witness unto the truth. Every one that is of the truth heareth my voice. So in that verse he claims to be a king. And we know that anyway. He's King of Kings and Lord of Lords, as it says in Revelations. So that's all of the I am statements in the book of John that Jesus said. So hope you enjoyed the video and learned something. Thanks very much for watching. Bye folks.